Okay, and we are live. Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Crypto Hour. Today, it's Friday, the 16th of August, and as usual, let's get started on the economic calendar. See what news we had in the last few days, and then we'll have a look at the crypto and kind of like market news, and we'll have a look at maybe something that we haven't talked about for a while, which is what kind of technologies is available in the crypto market right now. So how many variations there are, and when we go through the list, and we'll have a look at a few. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay. All right. Can you see my screen right now? Yeah, perfect. Okay, so let's have a look first of all at the economic calendar. So this week there have been a few bits of news that we have the market has digested. For you guys in New Zealand, to be aware that the interest rates have gone down slightly from 5.54 to 5.25%. Other news: the pound, we had inflation keeps ticking down, and although it's gone up compared to the previous reading of 2%, is lower than expected, 2.3%. The core CPI, which is maybe more important, keeps trending down, although it's still at elevated levels above 3%. In the US, instead of the same day, we had the CPI numbers for the US as well. Again, the inflation keep ticking lower. Then yesterday, we had a GDP in the UK that was again better than expected at 0.4%. It was expected to be flat. And we have the job figures and retail sales from the US. Now again, you must have seen there was quite a jump in the stock market yesterday, following the retail sales announcements and the job announcements. So let's have a look at retail sales first. They were expected to be quite flat at 0.1%. They actually went up by 0.4% month on month. So quite better numbers than expected, at 1% actually for retail sales, at 0.4% for core retail sales, but still quite a lot higher than what was anticipated. Let's have a look at the job figures. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. A lot of stuff here. Okay. Need to update this page. Sorry. Okay, so we get there in the end. So the continuing jobless claims actually were lower than last month, and there was an expected increase. So this quite a surprise in a way. So it kind of good job numbers, and even also on all kind of readings. So you can see the average 4 weeks average initial jobless claims. So all readings are better than expected. And so this combined with the retail sales figures, which again can see here year on year, or like 2.7% higher against an expectation of 1.8. So this caused quite a push higher for both the dollar and the stock market. So what effects has done as this had on interest rates? It's now pushed the expectation for the next monetary committee meeting in September. The expectation now is that interest rates will still be capped, but only by 0.25% instead of our percent. So this is the expectation has changed following this news. But notwithstanding that, so even if that really should have been a kind of like a mixed news from the point of view of the effect on the stock market, at the moment any kind of news is taken as a positive, because we are in a kind of like a greed phase where things have been going up for so long that people are just expecting to keep going up, and they still keep buying the top. So so that has been the effect on the stock market. And let's have a look at it on, just to show you. You can see, let me see. So can you see the effect of the announcement? And there, this the effect of the announcement yesterday. So the market was, it had been picking up from, from the week before, but there was quite a strong push in, just following the announcement. And this is it's quite a lot. It's quite a lot for one session, really. So we're talking about almost like 3%. Okay, so it's a big increase, a big change, and also the same thing can be seen in the in the dollar valuation again. So that's the dollar index. And like almost like 0.75%. Again in a matter of minutes. So kind of like repricing on the value of the dollar against a basket of other currencies. Okay. Now, a few things I wanted to show you, and not too much in terms of news. So we look at other things, but Bitcoin price has done pretty much nothing during this week. Sorry, let me just clear a couple of things. So I'm looking at the wrong way. I'm looking at this. Where are my charts? Okay. So as you can see, Bitcoin during the past week has done not much. We were at around 61,000 last week. Today we are at 58.5. We're still within this ranging. That hasn't changed. But for those of you that are thinking, oh my God, we are 58 instead of 75 or 73 or whatever it was, I always say, when in doubt, let's then zoom out. So if we go from a daily, we go into a monthly chart, then the perspective changes slightly. Okay, so we are still, when you're thinking, where are we now compared to the past, you can see we're still hovering around the highest monthly close we've ever had before the past few months. Okay, so it's nothing. There's no panic to be had right now. It's just like normal evolution for Bitcoin. And just show you. So if we have a similar, normally Bitcoin has in the past followed, as you can see on the left, we have the stock market, and on the right we have Bitcoin. And as you can see, the patterns are followed by it's quite uncanny how Bitcoin has followed the stock market in the past few years. And obviously the stock market leads the way and Bitcoin then follows. But we can see we had a bear market phase in 2022, and this is the same for Bitcoin. Then we had the bottom in 2023, followed by initial rally struggle, and then a bull market. So the bull market in the stocks and shares, we are in it right now, where Bitcoin hasn't really started yet. So is this going to happen? And what would it mean if we had a similar bull market in Bitcoin as we've had in the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq? We will go from the current level to roughly to the 200,000 mark. So this is kind of like a low level expectation if you look at analysis from different places. And these are kind of like still looking at numbers. So in this, since we hit the bottom and we started growing, we've had a number of pullbacks, with the biggest one being 32% that we've seen recently, but the average has been 23%. And you can see that compared to the last two bull markets, to 2016, 17, and 2020, 21, it's pretty normal. So in 2016, we actually had a much higher, but because the market wasn't as mature as it is now, we had much steeper pullbacks. So you can see 40, 41%, 43% on more than one occasion. And in 2020, 21, again, the average was about 24%. So pretty much we are on, on par with what we have seen in the past, and again, I say, when in doubt, zoom out. So if I took out the price and the dates, and we look at any chart, you will say, but any measuring stick that you want to use, this will be a very healthy chart. Okay, and looking again at the past, look at the past bull market cycle. So these are Bitcoin quarterly returns. Okay, so we look at when the last two bull markets, so after the halving event, which was again second quarter of 2016, second quarter 2020. So we had then following basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 quarters of alternate, generally speaking, continuous growth. In 2016, that caused, if you invested $100 in it, you would have ended up with 3,300. In 2020, that would have gone down, would have gone up from $100, would have made 700. And at some stages before the market dropped 40%, that would have been as high as 900. So it went up as much up high as 9 to 1. Now, as we started, you can see here, 2024 is slightly different because we have this growth that started earlier in the previous quarter due to the launch of the ETFs. So at the moment, since the halving, we have had 2 quarters of consecutive decline. But generally speaking, the reason why I was showing you this is because historically, the 4th quarters has been very good to Bitcoin. And in particular, the years of the halving, as you can see, 58% 2016, 168% in 2020, although this number, is probably an aberration just due to the pandemic and all the stimulus that was seen during the pandemic. But even if we go back to these levels, 50% increase from where we are now, considering that the low was about 50,000. That again will take us back to a level beyond the previous all-time high. Now, a couple more screens. List of the biggest Bitcoin holders in the world. So the biggest one being still Satoshi Nakamoto. That you can see a MicroStrategy that we always know about, is a number 5. But see, look at the effect of the ETFs now on the holdings of Bitcoin. Now, BlackRock is now number 3, the 3rd holder of Bitcoin, and possibly will be fighting against Binance with I would say this will be number 2 is really the number 1 active spot would be. But if you put all the ETFs combined, would be 900,000 Bitcoin held by ETFs, including Grayscale. If you exclude Grayscale, that would be 645,000. So it means that the effect of the ETFs have been now the biggest active holder of Bitcoin on record, if you exclude Satoshi Nakamoto, because those 1.1 million Bitcoin may never enter into circulation. We don't know. And now it's the last thing that I wanted to show you is a quite a stark graph. It's got nothing to do with Bitcoin. But this is the probability of conflict by Bloomberg, analyzed by Bloomberg, of internal conflict in the next 12 months. And it's quite worrying, because obviously Turkey and Russia are places where there is quite a lot of unrest right now. But following that, the US is in third place, even above places like Brazil, China, India, and so on. And this can cause, obviously, if something like this was to happen, and this, we are getting into like statistically significant levels. This is about 3% probability, not a high probability, but still significantly statistically significant, and at much higher levels than you guys in Australia or most of Europe. UK, again, this number is increasing, and you'll see in the news of civil unrest in the UK, which is driven more than political reason. Is driven from people wanting to get the latest sneakers, or for free on the shops. So that's the main reason why people have unrest in the UK, more than apart from far right political reasons. Now, if we go to how do I go into let me see. I want to how do I do a, maybe you can tell me, guys, maybe I got to stop sharing first. I wanted to do a whiteboard. There we are. Okay, so whiteboard. If we want to look, how many different technology do you think there are in crypto? So if we go here on CoinGecko, and we start looking down the list. Okay, the first technology, obviously, Bitcoin. Okay, so we start. How do I type in text? Okay, so Bitcoin.
Ik was net bang dat maar hulle stuur anyway, I'm sekerlik mute as jy gemute is.
Okay, so Bitcoin, the first technology available. Then let's go back. Let's go down the list. Ethereum number, different one, obviously different architecture.
I'm just getting. Oh, as I said. Oh, I'm just getting a blank.
Okay.
Yeah, you're just showing the whiteboard, Luca.
Sorry, can you see the whiteboard?
Yes.
Yeah, this is what I'm meant to be showing. So can you see what I'm writing on the whiteboard?
I see 2 lines.
Sorry?
I
It's
see
just
2
two
lines.
lines. There's no description or anything.
I can see
Yeah.
Bitcoin and Ethereum written in a block, Luca.
Yeah, in the block on the left, you see Bitcoin.
Oh,
and Ethereum.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. These 2 lines are not me. I don't know who did that. It's one of you guys because you must have access to that. It wasn't me. Okay, so Bitcoin and Ethereum as an example. Now, BNB, is that a separate technology? Can anybody tell me that?
So, Luca, maybe you can explain what you mean by technology, because I think right now you're talking about, it feels like you're talking about networks, because there's Bitcoin, there's
Okay.
Ethereum, there's Solana, there's
Yeah.
what's it, Polygon, Matic, and so the list goes. Obviously, Cardano.
These are all blockchains. So I'm thinking, is BNB a blockchain that uses somebody else's technology, or do they have their own?
They're an exchange. I mean, BNB is an exchange, Binance.
No,
and it's
no.
a native token.
Sorry, Kerry, this is wrong. BNB is not an exchange. Binance is an exchange. BNB is a blockchain. Okay, this is the Binance Smart Chain. It's a blockchain. So Binance is also an exchange, but but this one is not the exchange. This one is the blockchain. Okay, so these are coins of the blockchain, not the exchange. They're two separate things, completely. Okay. Now, BNB, just for example, Binance Smart Chain uses the Ethereum technology. So it's not a different technology, it's still the same. And you can see there are lots and lots of chains that are based on Ethereum technology. Now, Solana instead is a different one. So if we go there, then we got Bitcoin, we got Ethereum, we have Solana. And we keep going down the list.
I mean, so Luca, would Cardano then be its own technology? Obviously, ADA being the token, the native token of Cardano, right?
Yeah, we're talking about blockchains here rather than the tokens. Okay, so the blockchain, the technology that powers the blockchain. Okay, now if you do things on Ethereum, use the same. So this is why you can use MetaMask, for example, on Ethereum, but you can use it on BNB as well because of the same technology. It uses the same thing on the behind the scenes to power the way that the tokens are, the things are recorded on the blockchain is the same because they use the same underlying technology. Okay, where Solana uses a different system, XRP uses a different system. So just I want to show you because there are so many tokens, but when you look, the underlying technology, there aren't that many.
Cardano would be one as well.
Yeah, so we're going down the list. Toncoin, exactly, again, uses Ethereum technology. Dogecoin actually is based on its copy of Litecoin. Cardano, obviously, that's a different technology. So we have Cardano here.
And Polygon?
Polygon is Ethereum. Avalanche is Ethereum. So all these are all like based on somebody else's technology. Bitcoin Cash, again, based on Bitcoin. Chainlink is Ethereum. Polkadot is different. So this is why we're going down the list and we can see, okay, who's actually innovating, doing Polkadot. So who is trying to do something different from the others who's just like copying and trying to get on, trying to get users for different reasons, So Litecoin again is a different technology. Although it is, it's more similar to Bitcoin than other things. But as you can see, as we go down, a lot of these, like Polygon exactly, is another example, again, based on Ethereum virtual machine. Internet computer is a different technology. So there are all these. Oops. Right. So when we look at different things, what we're looking at like a blockchain that has some specific aspects to it that is different from everybody else, or are we looking at a project that is, there for marketing, but using somebody else's technology? So they're not in control of the base layer of their technology. And the important thing is that at the moment, obviously, we know that Bitcoin and Ethereum have become now institutional blockchains because they're investable from again indirectly in the stock market. So the access to it has become a lot easier for everybody. But the reason why I wanted to do this is because I'm thinking, okay, what do we think that blockchain technology is going to be able to do within a number of years, because we still are very, very early days at the moment. There are very little applications, very practical applications for a lot of Bitcoin projects in our daily lives. So many of us can go ahead and live out that daily life, even ignoring the fact that there is anything like crypto or anything like Bitcoin or blockchain technology. The same as, in the beginning of the 90s, the internet was already a thing, but you could have ignored it. It wouldn't have made any difference. Now, what's going to happen in the next few years is obviously will be vastly different from now, because as this technology gets embedded into our daily lives, then you're going to have to use some of this. Okay, so whether you do it now in the early days and you get yourself set up then to take advantage of this big wave, it's one thing. But in the future, you're going to have to use this, because this is going to be the way that things are going to be done. Now, the reason I put this here, because I'm thinking, okay, going forward, when there are things that will be done on the blockchain, who is going to be doing these things, and who is best suited to to do these things, which blockchain, which technology, because these are all kind of quite different from each other. Other things we can put, like, for example, Cosmos. What's the other one? Sorry, I can't think of it right now. I drew a blank. Sorry, let me just go down the list, because I can't remember. Mina, I think is. Am I going crazy? Yeah, Mina as well. So a couple more, like, for example, VeChain. Okay, now going forward, who's going to be doing these things? Okay, and what do different technology do? So if you want to get an education around blockchain and really understanding what's going on, go and find out, go and explore what some of these projects do. What's their purpose? Why are they there? So it's easy, for example, to just at a glance knowing what some of these things can do. Like Cosmos, for example, at the moment there are a few problems in the blockchain, but they are seen as like one of the visionaries, the innovators. VeChains is all about supply chain and business chain. Mina is trying to do the lightest blockchain that can be fitted in a few kilobytes, megabytes of size, compared to the huge blockchains that we have in all the other networks. So Polkadot is trying, for example, to make cryptos talk to each other. Okay, so once we have the banking sector, for example, they run on blockchain. Who's going to be running it? Which one is the one that? So what are the characteristics that the banking sector values? And so they would going to go and look then in a partner to be able to run their networks. Is it going to be on Bitcoin? Is it going to be on Ethereum? Is it going to be on Cardano, on Solana? So those are all questions that we can have at least a kind of like an educated guess now, because the same way as you think, you invest in companies, you go and buy stocks and shares of Apple, of Nvidia, or anybody else, because you think that they are going to do well in the future. We can do the same thing with cryptocurrencies, but obviously we need to consider different things. We need to go behind the scenes and look at, okay, what is going to be important for business, for gaming, for banking, for insurance, for all these things. And we can have an educated guess and thinking, okay, maybe this one is stronger, this one is cheaper, this one is lighter. So there are use cases that are going to be good for different uses. Okay, so by having a look, investigating, not so much what's the latest coin or what's the price going to do, what's the Solana price going to be in 12 months. It's rather than doing that because that's this is what YouTube thrives on, because they throw these big numbers. Oh, Solana is $100 now, it's going to be 5,000 in 12 months. So these things don't help you in making your decisions. But if you're thinking, okay, I don't know, Immutable X is the project that will really do well when the game starts pulling strongly, then I'm going to buy some coins of that. Or these kind of decisions, or Cardano, or another one, for example, here could be Algorand. So we can go on and list original blockchain projects. So this is the infrastructure. And we can think, okay, whatever the price is, we think that Algorand maybe could be a market leader in CBDCs. Okay, so I'll buy some Algorand because I know that when this happens, and there is a high likelihood of that happening, they will do really well from that point of from that market. If you think banking at the moment, who's best suited to accommodate the financial sector, I would say that probably out of all this, Cardano is the one that's best suited for the financial banking sector at a level that Ethereum and Solana can compete. I'm not going to tell you what each one of these does, but I think that if you want to understand a little bit more, this is where you should spend a little bit of your time understanding what are the strengths and weaknesses of different blockchain projects and how you can take advantage of it. Because I'm thinking, although we all want to know, how to make money, how to become rich in the next 6 months, the reality is that this technology is still at very early days, and it's going to have wild swings. Okay, it's going to go up and down by 50, 100, 80% down, 300% up. So these things are going to happen. But if you keep your eye on if you zoom out and you look at the potential, then this is the only thing that will keep you in the market and will stop you selling Amazon when it went down, from $100 to $4. Okay, and now you'll be, if you had sold Amazon shares and you had them very early and you had sold them maybe at $15, $20, you will be kicking yourself. Okay, and it's the same thing for crypto. At the moment, prices are a little bit subdued, especially prices that are not Bitcoin and Ethereum. Everything else is down quite a lot. But if you look at where are we going to be in 10 years' time, and the kind of things that what kind of assets will be represented by cryptocurrencies instead of common currencies, it's quite stark seeing at the moment we represent this much of the global market. If we can take just a 5% share of global assets, I mean, this will just like skyrocket the price of cryptocurrency from where they are now to a level that we can't even imagine. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to get to with this. Okay, just go down. You could, and it's very easy actually. If you go down here and you look at any one of these projects, okay, you can then go and have a look. Just the easiest thing to do. So you look at BNB.
Luca, you show the whiteboard now.
Oh, sorry, I'm not sharing. I thought I was sharing.
Look, a quick question for what you're going through and you're talking about. Are you kind of saying down the road a little bit that, some of the things that we have apps and software programs for may be now translated and coming off these, like whoever can do for banking, that the blockchain will take over that type of technology? So it's actually shifting products from where they are now onto another platform?
It's not so much. So if you think about it, at its source, blockchain is an accounting system. It's a smart accounting system. Okay, but now instead of just imagining that the biggest bank in the world, instead of recording their transaction as they are, imagine that they will be on a sort of public ledger, whether it's accessible to everybody or not, it doesn't matter, but in a sort of public ledger that is immutable and has got the characteristic of blockchain. So it's an increase in visibility and accountability from where we are now. So, and it is the way, it's the direction that the world is moving in, because there are so many things that can be done with blockchain that cannot be done with current technology. And so as we have moved, for example, 10, 15 years ago, if you go to any bank, they have their own mainframes somewhere in a building somewhere in the world. Now everything is on the cloud. So the technology moves on, and blockchain is the next technology that will take over because it offers, again, certain characteristics that other technology can offer. So until there is something, then
Oh, I was kind
it's
of
a step
thinking
up.
too, is something like like now you've got things where people want you to sign documents, so you're not having to print them off and do it. You would do a DocuSign thing. Well, that's putting your electronic signature out there, but with that might develop, because you said, like you say, everything is very transparent on the blockchain. So that technology could, be changed, or it's a whole different way of approaching it if you're doing it through the blockchain versus, the software that's DocuSign. That's I guess what I was trying to think, that you're shifting some of the capabilities into a different methodology.
Oh, definitely. It's also more reliable because there are ways of, ensuring the identity of the people that is signing. Then the documents, once they have, it's a permanent record of a signature of a transaction that cannot be altered. So it's got a lot of pluses. That we can talk the next time we do a session with Jonathan as well. We can talk about all that. We can talk about identity and how, just for example, what you share with either the authorities or somebody else. If you're going to buy a bottle of wine, you will be required. So the shopkeeper has to, if you are lucky enough to look young, has to make sure that you are above the legal age to buy alcohol, for example. So how do you prove that? Normally, at the moment, you show them a document, but now your driving license or your passport has got a lot of information like that you might not want to share, and the shopkeeper doesn't need to see. So again, blockchain and technology will enable you to share just what you need to share on a need-to-know basis, rather than everything in the open. And again, there are things out there that there is so much information that we don't need to share, but companies have access to, and we can't stop them from getting access to that information. Well, that's a big advantage. Privacy is something that is very, very close to a lot of people's heart, and also especially if you go into places where there have been problems, where the authorities have been overbearing or they have been oppressing and so on. So these are very, things that now with this technology we are enabled to deal with, and that wasn't possible to deal with before. So it's almost like looking forward and see the things that can be done with this that we couldn't even think about a few years ago. It opens a whole new world of possibilities, and this is what I'm saying. So once these things become from just thought in somebody's mind to reality, who is going to do the to provide the base layer for these things to happen? So when we have an election, and again going through the US election, where now the majority, maybe 50% of the country or around that figure, thinks that the result of the last election wasn't genuine. When we do an election on the blockchain, who is going to run it? Is it going to be on Ethereum or Cardano or on Bitcoin? These are all questions that are, they do deserve an answer, and then they will have an answer in the future. So obviously, something like this, that you can imagine the traffic of a US election, for example, that goes on the blockchain. Whoever provides that sort of technology to enable that election will have a huge boost. So if that is, could be, I don't know, Cardano, could be Algorand, could be Ethereum, could be Bitcoin, whatever technology is used would have a huge boost. And so there are many use cases like that, that would put one project rather than another on the forefront of that particular use case. Okay, so if we look at them, then we can understand. Okay, look at Binance, for example. Yeah, we're looking at an example. Okay, so Binance, I can see the contract. Can you see it's an Ethereum contract? So this is based on Ethereum virtual machine. Then obviously Binance has done so well, not so much because of their original technology, but because their marketing power. Okay, and the actual now they can attract projects to be in their blockchain because they got more visibility. Okay, and recently we have Solana that has done really well because they have positioned themselves are faster and cheaper than everybody else's. Well, if that is what they are trying to do, is how are they going to be faster and cheaper? Now the Ethereum has got, you know, layer 2 technology that is faster and cheaper than them. So these are questions that you want to ask yourself if you're investing in something for the long term. If you're just looking at making a few bucks and buying Solana 144 and selling it at, you know, 200, then you don't have to worry about this. But if you're thinking about building a portfolio that you want to keep for, you know, 5 years, then these are questions that need answering. Okay. So that was just going through the, you know, the top. We've gone through the top 20 coins, and as you can see, a lot of them are copies of, you know, of Ethereum or Bitcoin or something else. Okay, and so if it is an original project, original blockchain, so what's the possibility that will do well compared to this? Because this is competition, you know, that those projects that we're looking at, they're competing against each other. Okay, if it's not an original project and it's something else, so it just because they want to attract users to their own blockchain, then how are they doing that better than anybody else? So those are normal questions that, you know, like you would ask for when you're valuing a company, you know, and thinking, okay, the Apple phones, are they going to be better than the Android phones in the future? If you're thinking of investing either one or the other, you've got to take a view of that. And it's the same thing with blockchain. Okay, nothing changes simply because it's a little bit more airy-fairy, and we don't understand it as well, and we don't have many metrics as we have in, you know, maybe using the stock market. We don't see it in that way, but there is, you know, on the background, that's the way that these projects will then go to other evaluation depending on the use cases that they have and how many people are using them. Okay, so having said that, we have pretty much reached the end. We'll time for a couple of quick questions if you have them. Otherwise, we'll adjourn to next week.
Luca, so firstly, I just want to say thank you, specifically with this morning. I really enjoyed this, and I'm sure I speak for everyone. So what was quite nice with this is obviously we did a very quick market update, and then there was a lot of learning. So if we can keep that format going forward, it would be really, really cool. So thank you. I learned a lot. And then the second thing is just a question. I don't know if it's one you can answer yet, but there was a lot of speculation at some point, and I wonder if it's something that'll ever end up happening. But there was this debate to say that, you know, like right now you talk about Bitcoin correlating with the overall stock market. Do you think there'll ever come a time where Bitcoin will become, you know, it'll kind of drive its own trend and it will break away from the stock market and maybe what's happening in the market, because it is a safe haven, it becomes a safe haven for people to move their investments to a good store of wealth or a hedge against what's going on in the world?
Yes, I mean, it's so at the end of the day, it's how you represent, so what you use to represent the value of something. So it's at the moment we use the, you know, national currencies, and in particular the US dollar, to give us a meter of to judge, you know, this is what A is worth more than B or something like that. But Bitcoin can come and cut through all that crap, so to speak, because you know, the reason, if you say logically, 100 years ago and 200 years ago, it made sense to have a national currency because most of the transactions went on within a certain border. Nowadays, it's as easy to, you know, from the UK, it's as easy to deal with Australia or you know, the US or Brazil than it is to buy something locally. So that necessity of having 200 currencies in the world, I don't think is there anymore. So how we what's going to represent everything? Either we're going to have a massive consolidations. So instead of having all these different currencies, we're going to have 3 or 4 in the world. We're going to have the dollar, maybe a BRIC currency, maybe a euro currency, and so on, and having 4 or 5 blocks. Or there is a strong case now for something like Bitcoin, which is rule-based and nobody can really mess with too much, to be a representative of value, so that people can compare. The more Bitcoin is used, the more the fluctuations of price will come down and be a lot more stable. It will be a lot easier to use that as opposed to using the dollar, using the euro, using anything else to represent value. So yeah, I hope that clarifies things.
Thank you. So you're saying the less the volatility, because it's more stable in terms of what its use cases is, how it's being held, the more likely it is that there'll be more people using it, and then it would be probably a better safe haven.
It's the other way around. So the more people use it, the less volatility there is. So it's
Yeah. Okay, cool.
That's more the case. Yeah, Eric, you are the last question.
No, it was good. Thanks very much.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, guys. So we'll so 10 minutes now. It's 10 to 9. So I'll see you all at review from AIW. We'll see you on this session at 9 o'clock. And Jonathan, you're saying that now you're can you just very quickly in 1 minute say how you change your sessions? Some people might not have heard you before.
Yes. So I'll be hanging around in my Discord and on Zoom for about an hour after Luca's next call. But then the standard one will be on Monday evenings now from 9 p.m. UK or 8 UTC. The Monday evenings for me, mornings for Australia, etc. Cool. Thank you.
It's got the same so the same link both for Monday evenings and Fridays, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. That's a permanent link for both meetings.
Fantastic. So if you haven't gone before, then I would highly encourage you to go and listen to Jonathan. So the link is there. It's in the chat box. I'll give you a few seconds to copy if you want to. And I will see you everybody else on the AIW stream in about 10 minutes. Okay. So
Thank you, Luca.
have a great weekend if I don't see you there. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.